there we go. I hope that's good. All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to September. I'm really super excited about this because oddly enough, numerologically, September is this really important month. You wouldn't think it is, like in all the months of the year, that September would have any value or what added value in terms of numerology, but it does. And so we're here to talk about why and how you can make the best out of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to discuss why it is such an important month of the year. We're going to talk about hopefully how you can make the most out of this month. And we're going to use the rest of our time together to answer any burning numerology questions that you might have. So my goal is to do about a 30-minute presentation, maybe 40, depending on how we go with that. And then open the floor for questions. So let's get rolling so we can get it going. I imagine if you're here, you know what your personal year is. And yet sometimes there are people like, I don't even know what we're talking about. I'm just curious. So we're going to go over really briefly how to calculate the personal year and actually what it is, because the personal year in numerology, we believe that we go through 9-year cycles throughout our lives. And these are called personal year cycles. If you're a numerology geek, you kind of know what each of the numbers brings with it. And so you can really, if you know the basic defining qualities of the numbers 1 through 9, you can really start fitting it in, aligning it, plugging it in wherever it shows up. Same with the personal year. So what happens here is that I call it knowing the theme to your party, right? Because we don't want to show up at the wrong party in the wrong outfit for an entire 12 months, right? There's just, that's just not the way that we want to show up to our year. And we can feel this coming in, right? At the end of the year, it's all the New Year's resolutions, all those things that people kind of get jacked up about. And yet, numerologically speaking, it really is a change in your dynamics that are going to be happening with the energy that is supporting you individually. So what is the personal year? We're going to calculate it. All you do, very simple, day plus month plus the current year. I had someone just enter and needs to mute, please, if you would. I'm just getting some background noise. There we go. Thank you so much. Nope, it's still there. Anyway, if you're not muted, please. So anyway, what is the personal year? We're going to use this example, September the 4th. We're not going to use the year of birth. That kind of sits in the wings for the personal year calculation. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take the month, which is 9. September is the 9th month, so it is a 9. The day is a 4. That's a 1-digit number. If you have a 2-digit number as your birthday, you're going to reduce that. So if you're born, say, on the 27th, you do 2 plus 7, that equals 9. So that number would be a 9. But in this example, month is 9, day is 4. The current year, 2021, is what we're going to be calculating for as our example. So that is 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 1, that equals 5. So the current year is a number 5. So now we're just going to add those 3 numbers up together. 9 plus 4 plus 5 equals 18. We're always reducing to a 1-digit number. So 1 plus 8 equals 9. If this were your birthday, you would be experiencing a 9 personal year this year in 2021 with the peak right now in September, and you'd be moving into a number 1 personal year in 2022. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about that because that's part of September. That's part of the transition that we're talking about. So why is September so important? Why? Because it's really a crescendo. Okay, I got to be honest with you. I am not an opera fan. like kind of far from it. And yet to me, it's kind of like the year has been your opera. You know, it's been flowing along. There've been the highs and the lows. There's been some intermissions, all of that. And now it's kind of at the final act, and there's that aria. If you know opera at all, you've got the soprano. She goes, you know, center stage, and she does the big crescendo, the big aria. And that's kind of, to me, the feeling that that I get in terms of the year and how September shows up for all of us in terms of our personal year, because it is the only month of the year where you experience the same personal month as your personal year. So you're doubling down on it, right? On the energy. And let's talk about what I mean by that and how it shows up. So let's start with the one personal year. Always a good place to start with number one. This is, if you're in a one personal year, it's all about new beginnings. It's all about independence. And so if you look at what we've got on the screen here, you can see how your personal months have played out. And so the personal month is calculated by taking your personal year and adding it with the number of the month. So 1 personal year plus 1 January equals 2. So that's a 2 personal month. And then we continued going, and this happens for each month of the year for each personal year. Some things are going to get a little confusing here, so just bear with me. I'm going to try to be as clear as I can. And yet you can see it here, pretty simple, hard to kind of enunciate, and yet a very simple visual here. January, and if you're in a 1 personal year, starts out as a 2 personal month, and then we move forward until we hit 9, and then we move back into a 1. That's in September. That is right now. So if you're in a 1 personal year, 1 personal month, it's like you're at the height of the mountain right now. You're up there and you're experiencing it, feeling it all. Next month after, October, November, December, it's kind of like, I'm going to mix my metaphors, but it's kind of like you're walking down the mountain and into the next city that you'll be into next year. Or alternately, it's almost like waves on the beach are coming in and lapping up at you with the energy that's coming in next year, but it's kind of lapping and then retracting a little bit. So you're getting, especially if you're in tune, especially if you're intuitively and energetically connected, which apparently you are. If you're interested in this kind of stuff, you're feeling it, right? So you feel the energy of the year coming up, and yet you still have to finish out this year. So sometimes there's a little bit more blending toward these last 3 months than you have during the year as itself, you know, the year before, prior to this, the 9 months prior to this. So also I want to say that in October, for all of us, October, November, December, we begin to repeat the energy of January, February, March. So it's always really kind of fun and cool to think back and go, what was happening in January, February, March as it relates to that personal month energy. Often I find that you're replaying a few of the same, not scenarios, but the same sorts of situations. And sometimes it's kind of a hashing out of it. It's a up leveling of it in some way, shape, or form. So that's a really interesting thing to look at if you want to geek out on numerology and really start exploring how your year has worked for you. So now, if we look at the 1 personal year, if you're in your 1 personal year, September is offering you a culmination of the lessons of the 1. So I would ask you these questions, write them down in your notebook if you have them. So what have you started this year? This is your start year, right? Have you followed through with action, with determination? The 1 year is always pushing you, forcing you to act. right? In a 9 personal year, it's more about kind of flowing and receiving and accepting as you go along. The 1 is pushing you to be, to have a lot of determination and to do that. So, and have you learned to stand on your own 2 feet, right? And to assert yourself in different ways, to assert your independence. That is what's really coming into play in a 1 personal year. So it's really time to say goodbye to all the action, all the independence, that individuality, the new beginnings that you've been working on this year, and you're beginning to open up and feel what's coming in with your 2 personal year. So again, if you are perfecto. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. So now if we're 1 personal year, we're still on that 1 personal year. So what I would say is the possible themes that are coming up very intensely right now, which is really the point of this presentation. Like, okay, so what do I do now? How do I work with this? How do I make the most out of it? How do I make sense out of it, right? I always find that's for me, it's like, how do I just put this into context and make some meaning out of it? So I would just say that right now, and again, if there's questions at the end, hold on to them, because that would be something to talk more about, more in more specific individual terms. But say, for instance, what career issues you have. Usually the 1 personal year is very career focused, I find. So are you in a new job? Have you let go of a current job? Are you gaining traction with your new career? How is that playing out for you right now? And I would just say that this is a time to push that, or to really lean into it, or to, again, if you're kind of in that having some self-confidence issues, to really move into a more confident frame of mind in order to move through it with the energy of the 1 personal year. In your relationships, this is where I find we have to come face to face with codependencies in a 1 personal year. This could be across the board, but if you're in a codependent, intimate relationship, or even some codependent friendships or codependent ways that you deal with family or something of that nature, that could be something that is really coming up right now, coming up for you in a 1 personal year. So I don't know why this is not, it is not going away, even though I click on it. I'm sorry, again, technology, I love it, but all right, it's not going away, and I'm not sure how to manage that, but very odd. I'm going to leave it up there or just move it, I guess, and it won't move. That's
What do
very
you want to
strange.
go away, Felicia?
Well, I'm looking on, maybe it's not on your end, maybe it's only on my end that I am, something came up with the toggle bar again with the annotation, but it won't let me collapse it, even though I am clicking on the collapse button. So I'll just leave it there. If no one else can see it, and I'm the only one who can see it, then there's something to that. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so sorry. There's just a malfunction here. And now I can't see my slide because this other box came up where people are coming in. I'm trying to click away from it. Denise, thank you. So I'm sorry, everyone. I don't know what to do. It's not letting me click away from it at all.
Hey, Felicia,
Yes.
if it makes it easier for you, would you like to make me the host and then I can deal with all the technical?
That would be fabulous. So
Okay.
how do I'm going to make you, can I make you co-host? Would that
Yeah.
work?
Perfect. Yep.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I hope, again, I'm not trying to be spazzy, but it's just not, the basic functionality is not basically functioning for me. Do you see what I'm seeing, Randy? No, yes? Well, I'm going to attempt to move forward if I can. And let's see if we can get the technical stuff worked out. But in any event, the relationships, let's go back to that, really are going to be coming up. And so when I talk about what's really being emphasized in your personal year, often what's happening are things are coming up. Oh, you could unshare and start again. Okay.
You
All right.
might also, if it helps, exit full screen just temporarily, just to get it to.
Okay, your
cooperate.
screen, I'm going to stop the share. Okay. You guys are much more tech. I just don't do these sharing things as much, but which doesn't mean it's not just a technical weird thing. There we go. Is that working, everyone, now? I think
Looks
so.
good. Looks good.
Okay, thank you. All right, so with that said, other aspects, if you're in year one, are that any element in your life that you've been working with all year long in terms of gaining your independence, right? Extracting from dependent situations. This could be in all kinds of ways, right? Depends on where you are in relationships. It could be career. It could be just your mental, physical, emotional health, all of those things. It's trusting, acting on your creativity, your creative urges. The one is all about creativity, kind of that pioneering spirit, the courageous risk-taking, all of those things. So whatever part of that is lining up for you in your life is what you're going to be served up this month, okay? And it's all about standing up for yourself as well. It's all about, again, the one is all about standing up for yourself. So if you're in a 2 or an 11-2, the Master 11-2 personal year, this is your year basically of love and patience. If you're in an 11, it kind of has it's kind of got a wonky dash of the double 1. So think about last year, double it, then put the 2 underneath. So there can be a lot going on in the 11-2, and yet there's still going to be some delays, some frustrations around timing that are meant for divine timing, actually. And then also it's still really the nucleus is focused on relationships. And once again, here's the layout for your year in terms of your personal months. September is an 11 month for all of you in a 2 or an 11-2 personal year. So this is really highlighting everything that you have been working toward and with. So it's going to offer a culmination of all the lessons of the 2 or the 11-2. So I would ask you these questions. Have you cultivated a sense of patient purpose? No one really loves that, right? And yet the beauty of it is that when you can lean into the flow of it, I always think that the 2 is kind of like a year where you're watching your garden grow and tending to it. So last year you planted those seeds. This year you're weeding, you're watering, you're making sure there's enough sun, you're doing all of that. But while you're doing that, there's a busy phase. And yet then you've got to kind of hang out and read a book or do something else while it happens. So then in that free time, quote unquote, what are you doing? So it's more about relationships, cultivating that, understanding yourself on a deeper level, digging into your emotional life as well. So it's going to, this month is going to test your patience potentially. It's going to bring in the ways in which you have nurtured your relationships. You're going to get some, as you reap as you sow this month. And have you gotten in touch with yourself and your feelings? Because I find ultimately the 2 year is really a time to set really good boundaries, to learn who you are and how you engage in that realm as well. So it's time to really say goodbye to these delays, the tar walking year of your 2, 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. And the diplomatic way, I would ask all of you in year 2, have you kind of mediated and mitigated a bit more conflict and conflicting situations this year? Because that's always what comes in a 2. It's like, I don't like this. I don't like conflict. Well, yes, and yet the point is to teach you how to put yourself in somebody else's shoes and to understand how to mediate winning outcomes for everyone. So you're getting ready to move into the energy of the 3 next year, which is a little lighter, a little more joyful, and yet also emotions based. Okay, so next year is a 3 personal year if you're in a 2. But now let's move to the 3. If you're in your 3 this year, this has been your year of self-improvement. It's been creative, hopefully, social. It's all about communication as well. So you can see right here in the slide the way that your year has played out in terms of your personal months. And yet we are looking at the 3 as a crescendo for you. So some possible themes that are coming up. On the career front, are you in the final phases potentially of completing a big creative project or project in which you've had to be really creative? If you're in the arts, if you are a writer, a performer, or anything, this is a red letter year for you to really, really get those projects rolling. Next year will be for implementation, right? But this year is for the creation of them. In terms of relationships in a 3 personal year, this is, have you established new and emotionally connective relationships? Have you been able to communicate better? I often find this is where couples go to counseling to learn to communicate better because there's in a rough patch. Those sorts of things can happen in a 3 personal year. So the other aspects here are working on integrating new lifestyle choices, maybe a new diet, a new health regime, exercise. That's all part of the 3 personal year. Maybe you've really landed and are feeling the traction that you've had with that in September. I hope so. This is a time getting therapy, support with some consistent issues. You can either start it this month because because the issues have come to a peak, or you could really be feeling the effects of having started it several months ago. And you're going, wow, I've made a lot, turned a lot of corners here. And this can be a time when you're really feeling a lot of pleasure, a lot of playfulness, and a lot of enjoyment in your life as well. So there we go. I was letting somebody else in. So if you're in your 4 or your 22-4 personal year, this is a year of foundations, foundation building, hard work, really setting those long-term goals, right? You can see here how it's played out for you in your months that you have experienced so far this year and then are going to continue to experience. So this is offering this month a culmination of the lessons of that 4 personal years. So this is really, I gotta say, usually if you're in your 4 personal year in September, you are dog tired. I mean, you are almost, it's like that last I've never run a marathon, but my daughter has, and it's what those last 4 miles, maybe of a 26-mile marathon, maybe the last 2 miles, where you're just like, you want to give up, but this is the time to really push and pace. So this month is going to, the questions are, have you established these attainable goals? Are they moving forward in a way that you like, that is practical and pragmatic as well? Have you organized yourself in a way that makes work and your personal life more effective and more, just more in line with what you truly want? And do you feel a sense of accomplishment yet? That's a big word for the 4 and the 4 month. It's like, what have you accomplished? What results can you see? And do you like that? So it's really time to say, ciao, to say goodbye to an over focus on work and this massive devotion on self-discipline. You're going to be moving into the 5. So I always say what you have put into place this year is going to give you a foundation for kind of boundless freedom next year. And so you've implemented everything, gotten it in line so that you can explore more levels of freedom next year. Okay. So, and yet to continue with this year, to push to the end, some of the themes that are coming up this month potentially are in the career issues front. Do you kind of see a light at the end of the tunnel in terms of what you've been putting into place? Can you actually see the landing point for the next couple months, kind of meeting those deadlines, doing those things that are going to get things done and get things finished up? In relationships, are family issues coming up like crazy? That is often what will happen in a 2 or a 22 personal year. They can really be coming up to be dealt with differently. Some old family stuff, crusty stuff, maybe needing to be reevaluated. So other aspects are you're finding your sense of being anchored, having a sense of stability in your life. Often this is where people move, where they build a house, where they might remodel. I mean, just in that very pragmatic way, finding your roots, finding your anchor. Are you, really getting serious about yourself and what your future holds? This can often be a time where you suddenly do take yourself seriously. You're like, this is real. This is my real life. What am I doing? And this is making sure that you follow through with the practical details that you need to do that often maybe are arduous, a little annoying, and yet need to be done, right? That sort of thing. So your 5 personal year, here's the layout here of your 5 personal year of freedom and change. And let's remember all of you in your 5 personal year, it's also a 5 universal year. So you're getting a double whammy in both the grandness of it and also a little bit of the challenges in terms of that frenetic energy. So if you're in a 5 personal year, September is a culmination of the lessons of the 5. So have you been open to meeting new people, bringing new people and things into your world? I know it's kind of a funny time for that, that it's more difficult to do that organically, but here we are on Zoom and everybody else is doing things virtually and finding ways to open up your world in different ways. So I'm sure that you've been creative about doing that, or I hope you have. Have you tried new and different things, learned new different things, kind of just gone off in different directions that you would have never anticipated, right? And now is the time, really, I find September, oh my gosh, the crescendo of being able to see past those bright and shiny objects. And now you're beginning to kind of move into a focus to some specific change that you want to usher in right now. I find that September for the 5 is kind of the been there, done that month where no, that didn't, no, yes. So this is your yes month where you can really begin to see which door from the Let's Make a Deal. I don't know if anyone ever watched that old game show, but door number 1, door number 2, or door number 3, you get to choose right now which door you get to open. So it's really going to be time now as you move from this freewheeling, freedom-seeking, frenetic, changing energy into your 6 of next year. So the career issues that might be coming up right now, what is up, here for you? I know a lot of people in their 5 year where it's really been a juggle about, is this what I want? Is it not? How do I, what, right? So are you even in the same career that you started the year out with? Have you changed it? Have you asked for something else within it? Those sorts of things. In relationships, do you feel trapped in a relationship and need to get out of it? Or maybe that's something that you've been working on all year. Or do you want to stop, bopping around and settle into something more permanent right now as you kind of get in again to that 6 energy that's coming into play for you next year, which is more about relationships and nurturing and all of those home family based energies. So this is a time where maybe, there's someone in your world that is showing some staying power that can happen in September in this month for you as well. So other aspects here are just wrapping your brain around all the changes that are taking place. That can be a real big one for September. It's still, you're kind of a little bit still in that vortex. So things are shaking out, but not quite settled down to earth yet. You're attempting to stabilize yourself so that you can be more productive. And it just also, let's not forget the enjoyment. I hope you're enjoying all of the experiences that you've been able to have in this very, very interesting and change-worthy 5 personal year. So then the 6th personal year bridges into responsibility and relationships. If you are in a 6th personal year this year, this is the layout for you in terms of what your personal months have been that you've been experiencing. So September is your pinnacle year, your peak of your 6. So what can that bring to you? It offers that culmination of that 6. So have you made determinations about certain things that need to be tossed or discarded, or just said, you know, this isn't serving my highest and best anymore. It's just not working for me. Or have you brought things in up and again recommitted to things in your life? This can be intimate partnerships or friendships or other sorts of things as well. So it's really been a time where you look and see, is this staying or is this going, right? And sometimes that is really at a peak in September. This is a time where you're really looking at, do you feel loved? Do you feel nurtured? And how is that showing up for you right now? This could be a beautiful month for that warm, fuzzy, those feelings that come into play. And it can also highlight where you want it to go, right? Where you would rather it go. So this month is also a time that's going to be begging the question about responsibility, right? All year long. Are you too responsible? Are you irresponsible? Where do you meet that in the middle, right? Where is it just right? In terms of the balance, you're always being called to balance responsibility in a 6th year. So it's time to say goodbye, to say ciao to those responsibilities, the home, the family. Again, we never leave one behind. We're always building on it, right? We're always building on what we've created in the year prior and building on that. So the upcoming year is going to be self-discovery and some other aspects, where this year has been more about others by and large, and next year you get to focus a bit more inward. So this year, though, the possible themes that are coming up right now in September, it's going to be you asking yourself, you know, where is my success ratio? Where with work, this 6th year can be hugely creative and successful financially, especially if you're in a service-related industry, something that nurtures others, some kind of counseling, any kind of products in that way, the elderly, children, pets, those sorts of avenues can really be bolstered in a 6th personal year. And relationships, those are the key elements. Have you worked out the kinks in whatever way, shape, or form in your relationship life? So this is a month where you're balancing, again, your responsibilities to yourself and to others. Often, if you've been working on it all year, this feels really good. It feels really balanced. It feels really clear in terms of those dynamics. This can be a time where you're really getting your house in order, literally and figuratively. Like, are you moving, remodeling? Are you, you know, all of those things in terms of your house are really highlighted right now. And it's also really going to bring in experiences that allow you to back away from being so judgmental. You know, we can all use that. And yet in the 6th year, you're going to be really asked to step back a bit from the judgment and be a bit more understanding. So the 7th personal year, this is the year of planning, of soul seeking. It's kind of the hermit year in many ways. It's a very retracted time, lower energy time. You know, things can be going around as usual, right? Business as usual, but a lot going on internally here for those of you in your 7. So this is going to be a culmination of these lessons. So it's going to be kind of begging the question, have you taken some downtime to nourish your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health in any way that has been necessary this year in a 7? It's going to really be revealing, have you revealed or nurtured or looked at some really hidden, maybe some shadow aspects of yourself this year that have come up for you to review, to nurture, to work with, to just to see. And this is also a year where you can become much more incredibly spiritually attuned. If you're intuitive, if you're psychic, if you're, energetically sensitive, this is a time where you're often studying those, experiencing more modalities, exploring different facets of this part of your personal development and personal evolution. And this can really be flying right about now. So right now, though, you've still got to kind of, usher yourself to the end of the year in that 7, but you're going to be feeling a bit more, a little more caffeinated, let's say, right? You're already feeling it. You're like, oh gosh, I got to kind of get the sleep out of my eyes because I got to kind of get on board and got to start really thinking about more of my finances, more of the material things, because really the 7 personal year overall is not the time to focus on material matters. Yes, of course, we all have to pay our bills. Yes, of course, all of those things happen, but it's not a time to hugely focus on that. This upcoming year is the year to do that. Hopefully what you have gleaned in your soul-seeking year is going to really add to the direction and the way in which you do that next year. So the career issues, what career, right? In a 7 personal year. I don't have a career. I'm just meditating. No, so I'm just kidding though. But kidding, not kidding. It depends on where you are in your 7 personal year. But have you really done some deep dives, right? I can only guarantee that you have. And if you haven't, yeah, that's going to be a really interesting one, because when you've been denying and avoiding and doing, it's going to come up even more substantially. I think we all know this, right? If we don't listen to what the universe is asking us to listen to, they'll scream a little louder next time. So hopefully you've been in that flow. So in relationships, probably if you've done a lot of internal work, you can engage in relationships in a more connected way. If you're not in a relationship this upcoming year, the work you've done will, hopefully get you in line to be more authentic and get into the relationship that you want, that's going to be successful, right? Through that personal growth and personal development that you've done this year. And then also relationships are not just intimate. It's with your kids, it's with your family, it's with, colleagues, all the rest of that. So also what I would say is that some other elements come in here is a renewed sense of trust. That's a big one for the 7 and for the 7 personal year. Do you trust yourself? Do you trust the flow? Have you learned a lot? And what have you done when you've peeled the onion this year? So now those of you in your 8, money, empowerment, really step up or step on, or get stepped on this year in an 8 personal year, right? So it is at a peak right now. If you are in an 8, that is your lineup, but September is your 8. So have you stepped up? Have you taken control of yourself and your life? Have you taken responsibility? This is often a really big year where if we ride in the victim seat, right? Well, I can't, and I didn't, and my ex did that, and my parents did that, and the 8 is going to shake that out for you. It's like, okay, yeah, that was then, this is now. Now what? Now what are you going to do? Right? Step up. So that's really an energy that comes into play here. And in September, that can be right up in your grill, right? It's going to be right now, you're going to be seeing if those actionable steps that you've taken to improve your financial situation are working for you, right? And if they aren't, how do you need to reconvene, reconfigure, those sorts of things? Also know that this is not, what I want to say is that if your finances are shaky, because don't think you have done it wrong or that you're a failure. Please, please, please. The 8 is really schooling you in how to do this. And it's not like you're going to win the lottery and everything is going to go away, right? This is a matter of incrementally empowering yourself around finances. And so if you're not a multimillionaire by now, it's okay. It's just empowering yourself in every level and doing better incrementally, okay, financially. It's going to ask you to see how resilient you've been, how much you've been able to power through the obstacles with some good grace and good humor and with ethics and with integrity. So you're going to be saying goodbye to this forceful and powerful energy, this hard driving, money focused energy, and moving into the 9 next year, where you kind of get to let go of the reins and go with the flow. So this month, though, it is the month where you can be doing the jazz hands about, reaping what you've sown in terms of all of the work that you've put in and everything. I hope that is the case for everyone. If it is, congratulations. If it's still a little shaky, no worries. There's opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. What happens with the 8 is it's kind of training you how to empower yourself more substantially, right? And have you empowered yourself in your relationship world? This could be very much where you have to stand up for yourself, or whether if you are a dominating and controlling person, where maybe you get to look at that and look to see maybe someone left you because of those citing those issues, and you get to look at that and see how you want to work with that in the future. So right now it's about stepping up and getting real with yourself on all levels. It's about pushing yourself even a little harder than you even thought was imagined. We'll use that that marathon metaphor that we used for the 4, kind of bridge that into this one. And it's like you still are, it's an endurance race in the 8 personal year. And hopefully, though, boy, feeling empowered, feeling in charge of your life, feeling like, man, if I survived and thrived in this, I can do anything. That's often what will happen as a result of the 8 personal year. So the 9 is, to me, conclusions and commencement. I really look at it as a commencement year. It is beginnings and endings all rolled into one, right? So this September is a 9 personal month for you in your 9. And it's funny, I don't know if I think she'd be just fine with this. My daughter has been looking for a house for 2 years now, and she finally found one. Whole shaggy dog story. But the point is, she's in a 9 personal year. Her birthday is in September. She just closed on a house on 9/8. Which is an 8 is that power number as well. And she is again in this 9 personal year. So September has been, again, closing and beginnings. She's closing on a house. She's going to move in at the end of the month. And so she's closing out this cycle, ending something else. But that's kind of an example of how it might show up for you. It's not these catastrophic endings. It can be, oh my gosh, this is ending, but this is beginning. And it's what I've been wanting to begin. But now we've got the fusion of that. So it is going to be this culmination of really asking yourself, have you opened up to change, to transformation, to, as corny as it sounds, it's like we have to close something out to start something. Every new beginning is some other beginning's end. So, but the juggling of that can sometimes feel pretty intense. Are you surrendering to the transitions? And by surrendering, I don't mean I give up. It's just, ooh, yeah, I know that this needs to happen. It's painful, it's scary, and yet, yeah, let's do it. Let's move forward. Have you allowed the things to fall away, maybe to dissolve, so that you can make some space? The issue is, what I always say is that you have to kind of be okay in that liminal space for a little while, that space where you don't know, you really don't know what's going to come in to take its place. And that's I think the fear factor that we all are in the 9, and yet it's just riding with it and riding that wave. So this is really, the completion energies are really at a peak right now. And now you're being asked to kind of greet the energy of the new beginnings that are coming in to meet you in October, November, December. So job right now, what's happening here? Have you lost your job? Have you quit your job? Have you gotten promoted in your job? The job things can really shake up in a 9 personal year. Relationships, again, across the board, you may be keeping a relationship and again, reconfiguring it. Maybe you're exiting, maybe you're hoping that next year is going to bring a relationship that you haven't been in relationship and would like to. Those sorts of things in relationship can be very, very up and down and all around in a 9 personal year, and particularly again in this peak month. So there can be feelings of confusion, some grief. So let yourself do that. I always say it's kind of like a retrograde year where all the re-words, revision, revisit, whatever you're doing all year long. So as things sift and fall away, hopefully though, you're going to be seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, feeling the new energy coming in, feeling a little bit more hope, right? Of that jolt of energy that's coming in. And yet you're still at a precipice about some of these changes that you've been experiencing. So with that said, we're going into questions, everyone. I know that we had some technical stuff, so thank you for your patience on that. And yet let's open the floor. Bring your questions on. Anyone? Yeah, Randy?
Hey, Felicia, if it's okay, can I let everyone know what the special offer is?
Oh, absolutely. Go ahead. And then we'll do the questions.
Okay, perfect. So, hey, everyone, we understand it's been a couple of years. It's been a couple of years. And we wanted to, Felicia and I sat down and really thought about how Felicia could support you these next few months closing out 2021. So here's what we thought of. If you book a 60-minute or 90-minute session with Felicia this weekend, so before Sunday, midnight Eastern, we're going to gift you a free course that's in Felicia's library up to a $47 value. So this is just a regular thing. You'll book the session. You can book your session up to 60 days in advance, but you'll need to book it this weekend. And everyone who does, we will reach out to you via email early next week when we all get back into the office, and you'll have your choice of one of 5 courses available: the numerology of relationships, the numerology of planning, the career and finance course, which is our most popular course, the repeating numbers masterclass, or the karmic debt masterclass course. So one of those 5 courses will be free to you if you book a 60-minute or 90-minute session this weekend before Sunday at midnight Eastern. And if you have any questions about that, just drop your questions in the chat box. I'm here to answer any questions. And then to do that, just go to FeliciaBender.com/sessions. And as soon as I'm done talking here, I'll drop the link directly in the chat box, so you can click it if you want to. Again, we're doing this offer manually, so you'll just need to give us a couple of days. If you book a session before Sunday, midnight Eastern, we'll see your name come through the dashboard, and we'll reach out to you via email early next week with details about how to receive your free course. So that's it. Felicia, did you want to add anything to that?
No, just really clarify that, you'll book it, but you can book it for any time for the next couple months, right? Where it can happen. So you don't have to You know what I mean? I just want to make sure that that's clear, and I think it is. So no, but I would love to, it's always nice to kind of get a preview and get a read, get a specific individual reading before the year, you know, so that you can kind of get yourself situated and plan ahead. I think that's I always like doing it myself. So we'll extend it to all of you as well. So.
Perfect. Okay, great. I'm going to go ahead and mute myself, and I will type the information in the chat box for those of you who are interested.
All right, perfect. And for questions, Randy, would you mind, could you feel people like raising their hands and then you unmute so that we don't have, I don't know, confusion that way?
Yeah, no worries. I can do that.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Would you? Yeah, who would like to go first?
Judy has a question. So Judy,
hi.
Hi. So my question is, I'm in a 7 personal year.
Yes.
And I've realized today, like I've done some of my shadow work, the deeper work, but I've also been feeling the energy of the money and the empowerment in dealing with that. So if it's really important for me to end this year doing the shadow work, going internal, honoring the rest of my 7 year, I guess I'm just curious, like next month is an 8 personal month for me. I'm going to want to jump into action. So is it more like just continue to go within and be internal and do that shadow work around money empowerment versus action? How does that work?
I think for me personally, I feel that it is the distinguishing line here. You can do anything and everything you want as long as you're not shooting it out into implementation yet.
Got it.
Okay. So you can do, I mean, let's just say, for instance, you're working on your book, right? And you're like, oh, should I really be, get it done, get the marketing plan done, get it all ready. Right. And then, you know, in next year, you are ready to rock and roll. You are ready to launch. You are ready to hit the ground running. Right. And because the 7 really is all about that organizing, the planning, the learning more, the getting it in place. And I think that where we always get off on the 7 is that we all feel like if we're doing anything other than oming in a corner with a candle in, you know, in juice fasting, that we're not doing the 7, but we are when you're really involved in the doing it, because what you're doing is really figuring out who you are and where you're going and what you want, which is the 7, right? So the 7 can really hold hands with the 8, but what the key factor that I would say right now for you, Judy, is get it all done. Don't implement until you're 8. Okay.
I'm so excited. That's what I've been doing. And I want to push. I feel the energy of next year, but thank you so much.
Perfect. Go with your gut. Seriously. Yeah.
Always. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Who else?
Okay, Felicia, Erica has a quick question. Can you please put the 5 slides back up?
The 5 slides. I think I can.
Yeah, we'll do that for a couple of minutes, Erica, so you can screenshot them if you want to.
This one, all of them?
I think just the 5.
Okay. Well, I mean, all of the 5 slides, because there are 3.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I hope that one's been screenshotted. And we'll go with this. Hopefully there. Let me know if you didn't get it. And then there's the 5. All right, who else?
Are you good, Erica? Just let me know in the chat box that you got the info. So the next question, I'm going to share this publicly. I hope Michelle doesn't mind, but Michelle asked if we have already had a personal reading, what would be the next step in learning more one-to-one? So Michelle, if you want to, I'm not sure about your question, so I just want to bring this up because I think it's a good topic. Felicia, I'm going to hand it over to you. You just answer what you think is best.
Okay, cool. Well, it's always really interesting because that's always the $64,000 question, right? It's like, now what do I do and how do I develop this and how do I use it more consistently and more thoroughly? And so, I mean, one of the things I'm attempting to do, well, I even have, I think right here, we've got next weekend, we've got an advanced numerology retreat. It's limited to just 10 people. I think we have maybe 3 or 4 places left yet. So if this is something we're going to be doing, I'll be doing a 10-minute reading, personal reading for everyone. Everyone is going to get their full basic numerology profile. And what we're going to be doing is going through your numerology chart very specifically and answering whatever question you have, but talking about it in its totality. And so what I have found, to get though back to your actual question here, is that when you've worked with me, what I have had with a lot of people is that we will just do follow-ups. And if you are someone who has been a client of mine, email me through support. We can set up a program. I've offered programs in the past, but it's been kind of wonky in terms of just keeping it on track. So what I want, so what I would like to do is that offer some follow-up sessions for people. And I think that's a really good way of getting an overview, which is a first session. It's just a right at you overall a whole chart reading, right? And then what we would do is let that soak in because I know with me, I also have to have new information and it has to really start settling in for me. And then we can work with specific questions. Then we can really dig deeper into the nuances and the way in which it shows up for you in particular. And because things just, I think we all know this. We'll read things, we'll read information, and then there's a difference between reading information as knowledge or as information, bringing it into knowledge, and then actually applying it. Because numerology is an art as much as it is a science. And I find that when I work with people, it's a really great way of starting out with a question, and then we'll look at your whole chart and to see where things are emphasized, where things show up, and dig again deeper into the meanings and the nuances and how they can interplay with a specific question, a specific thing that you're working with. So I've had a lot of clients that I've had continual, kind of like a therapy or a coaching sort of relationship with, in which we'll meet every month or every 2 weeks and go over whatever they're working on right now in their life.
That was perfect. So if anyone is interested in the Advanced Numerology Retreat, I put the link in the chat box for that. It is September 18th. We've got a few spots left. I'm so sorry, but it's not for beginners. So if you're new to numerology, it's not for you. You might want to start with a session if you've already had maybe some exposure to your numerology, and you want to dive into your personal numerology. But the link is in the chat room or chat box if you want to check that out. Mm-hmm. And then Felicia, we have another question. This is a great question for everyone. Mm-hmm. Lehman, and I'm so sorry if I mispronounced your name. Lehman asks, when does your year start, on your birthday or?
Thank you. I forgot to mention that, and that is something that I usually always mention. And so here's the thing. Here's the gig. Here's the dealio, everyone. Every numerologist has a different, not everyone, but numerologists, just like astrologers, just like medical doctors, we all have different ways of doing things, right? And so I am, if you followed me, you know I'm more of that person who likes to tell you the school of thought, right? And let you decide, because that's ultimately what we're all doing anyway. So when I look at the personal year, I personally believe or feel that it transpires from January 1st of any given year through December 31st, with an emphasis, of course, that peak time that we're just been talking about in September, that aria, that crescendo. And yet it also intensifies around your birthday time. Okay, so that's the way I feel about it. Some numerologists consider the personal year to go from birthday to birthday, which means that, like, if your birthday were in December 2020, well, that's a bad example because I don't have the full example. But sometimes that means that most often it means that if you believe that in that way, that it's going to cross over years, year to year, like it's not going to be just one solid year. For me, the way it makes sense about personal year is that we use the year to calculate it. Right? If I'm calculating my personal year for 2021, it's 2021. And so to me, it doesn't make rational, logical sense, pragmatic sense for part of it to be in the other in 2022. Okay. So first of all, it just doesn't make sense to me on a rational level. And number two, I'm one of those people. I experiment and I like to be open to all possibilities. So I've actually thought about it that way and used my own personal experience with it. For me, it makes more sense. It feels more in line for the year itself, not from birthday to birthday, but it does, again, intensify around your birthday. So I hope that answers the question. I know that that's a long answer, but I think it really bears that kind of layered conversation about it, because there are a lot of numerologists who do consider the personal year to run birthday to birthday rather than just the year itself. So it's basically up to us. It's up to you to figure out what feels right to you.
Perfect. Okay.
Thanks for that question. I really appreciate it. Seriously.
That's an excellent question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Jennifer has a question. Let me grab her and just unmute her. Okay, Jennifer, we're coming to you.
Hey, Jennifer.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. Hi.
I miss you. Fabulous seminar today. So my question is, I'm finishing out my 8 year. I feel like I've checked all the boxes and I'm nervous about going into the 9 year.
Okay, I love this question. This is near and dear to my heart because I get so many people who are like, I'm terrified, like, what's going to happen? Okay, so here's the thing. In the 9 personal year, and this is really the way, and I know I mentioned this, but I'll get a little deeper into this. It truly is about dreams coming true.
Okay, I like that.
Okay, it is dreams coming true. Dreams can't come true. It's almost like that adage, something can't change in your life unless you're willing to change, or you're willing to change it. So your dream may be over here, but you're blocking it because you're still over here doing the same thing. You're still driving on this road when you need to turn the blinker on and go over onto the other highway, right? So the 9 personal year is offering you that opportunity to turn on the blinker and go onto the other onto the other part of the highway. And yet you're going to be going off that road that you know.
Gotcha.
You're like, oh crap. I like the way I go to work every day for the last 5 years, and I know every landmark and everything. And it's that funny thing, though, even looking at it that way, I am a creature of habit in ways that maybe don't serve me as well as they might. And I literally was driving one day and had to do a literal detour, right? Because the road was closed, and I kind of panicked internally. I was kind of like, oh, this is not the way I go, right? And so I went around and I'm like, oh my God, just 3 blocks away, there is a whole other freaking universe. Like there were shops. I was like, there's this vintage shop. I was like, that looks so cool. There was a bookstore, a coffee shop. There were other, I never knew they existed. If I wouldn't have gone through that detour, that I would have never gone unless the road was closed. Right. So in many ways, you can look at it as that way, metaphorically. I also think of it very, very much so as commencement, because it's that wonderful, beautiful, bittersweet excitement, grief, everything balled into one. It's like you're in your last year of getting your, let's say, undergraduate degree. And you're taking the last courses and you're blazing forward, right? And you got to make sure you got all your credits. You got to make sure and yet you realize that you're not going to be meeting all your same group of friends at the same bar on every Friday night. Right. And so you're taking advantage of all the things that you've been doing and that you love, but there's kind of, you want to experience it all, but at the same time, everyone's, applying for internships. Someone else has a job, that these people are getting married. Someone, whatever. And so you have, that's the energy of the 9. So it's like, there's this vibratory excitement underneath it. And yet a little bit of that bittersweet quality to it. And yet overall, you can't stay in undergraduate school forever, and you don't want to, right? No. like this has been really great, but I can't see myself here when I'm 45, and just keep doing this, taking the same classes, doing the same thing. So it's that sort of thing. So if you can really think about it in terms of dreams coming true and commencement, and I say this story a lot. It's true. And this is extreme. Okay. Extreme. But I had someone in a workshop one time. We were talking about personal years. She was in her 9. I was like, so what's been going on with you? She said, oh my God, this is the best year of my entire life. She was in her 50s. I was like, whoa, do tell, right? Tell me more. She was like, I finally got a divorce. I've been wanting to get a divorce for years. I've been in a dead marriage. Finally did it. My son graduated from college and he's got a job and he's out of the house. And I feel really great about that. I'm going to miss him, but blah, blah, blah. I quit my job that I've wanted to quit. I just moved. We were in a different town. I'm here and I have no idea what's next, but I have never been happier.
Love that.
I am ready for what's next. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of the year of what's next, right? And so as you get into that spirit of what's next, you've got to get into the spirit of, and what can I envision, what can I envision here? And what can be even better than I could ever imagine? Right. And so, Jennifer, I love that question because I have been one of the slowest studies in the entire universe in my 9 personal years. I've made significant transitions like the last week of my 9 personal years. And yet the getting there is so necessary. Right. Mm-hmm. So all I want to say is that this can be an exquisite bridge, and yet it won't be without its emotions.
Right.
So just count on the emotions, get out the Kleenex, go, work out a little bit more.
Okay.
Meditate a little bit more, but really, come get into some self-care routines that are really going to support you. Get your support team, your friends around you who you can go to and have your little mini breakdowns if you need to, or just verbal processing through it. And you'll get out, you will get out with blazing firecracker colors at the end. Okay.
Thank you,
All right.
Felicia.
Thank you. Who else? Anyone else?
Yeah, actually, we've got one last question from Jan. I think before we wrap it up here, I'm going to go ahead and mute Jennifer real quick. Okay. All right. So Jan has a great question, Felicia. She asks, I want to immigrate. So what is the best year to do that? I know you have some good insight on that.
Oh, immigration. So from where to where? It doesn't really matter, but I'm curious.
That's great. We'll see if she posts it in the
okay.
Chat.
I'm kind of practical Polly in many ways. So I'm always looking at, at the actualities that go with that. Immigration. It's interesting because personal years, it's a really good question. Immigration for good, changing citizenship, a 9 into a 1 is a big one. Because that would really change your identity, so to speak. And yet if we, you know what I prefer to do, I know this is a little bit much, but let's go through each personal year and see how immigration might show up in each personal year, because a 9 to a 1 would be like that. That would be a huge life-changing identity changer, right? A 2 personal year, if you immigrated in a 2 personal year, or an 11-2, would be a time where you get to really deal with the delays, the paperwork, all the things that go with the immigration process. It would be a slow, steady process. Often I would think you're immigrating in that year maybe to pursue a love relationship. In that way might show up in a 2 for immigration. Immigration in a 3 would be really to get into yourself, to improve yourself, right? You're wanting to move countries so that you can get a better job, so that you can improve your life, so that you can be more you, more authentically you. That would really, and the key to that would be your social connections, your social and business connections, to really smooth that path immigration wise. The 4 is all about longer range goals. So you're immigrating, and that would be more about a matter of really, really getting serious about the nuts and bolts of that, making sure that you've dotted all your I's and crossed all your T's. And it might feel a little arduous, but it would be setting you up for the longer haul, right? The 5, immigration, freedom. Like it means this, I mean, it's like you feel like you've got to immigrate because you feel so stuck or so such a lack of freedom. So often a year would support that for immigration. Immigration in a 6 would be more again focused on finding your true home, sense of home, and it could be for a love relationship, for a marriage as well. I would think both of those would be highlighted. For a 7 year, it would be more about who you are on this deep soul level, finding your spiritual home in many ways. Maybe you know, I don't know, you're immigrating to Bali or something. I mean, I use that as a funny example, but it could be just where you find more of your spiritual place in the world. The 8 could be immigrating for business purposes, right? Or to empower yourself in other sorts of ways. I could use dramatic examples there, but I don't think it's necessary right now, but that would be part of that. And then we get back to the 9. So I don't think there's any one year. It's not like if you miss a year that you have to wait another 8 or 9 years to get around to when you can immigrate. I think it's any year, but it's the energy that's underlying is what I would look at. I always look at how do we place what we're doing within that environment so that we can know how to work with it more optimally. Does that make sense to everyone? Yeah, no.
That was a great explanation.
Okay, cool.
And Jan did say she's in her 6th personal year. She's moving or wants to immigrate from London to Auckland. So that was great. We could actually do probably a master class on immigration and personal years.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot, but it's really fun. I find when I'm working through all these personally in my life, I like to just have something to align with, right? And to kind of hang my hat on in terms of the theme or the energy or the direction. And that's what I find numerology really helps me with. And I hope it helps you with that too. So
awesome.
Anyone else? Or are we closing out for the day?
I think we're getting close to closing out. If you wouldn't mind, Melissa asked if you would go back to the 2 personal year slides, please.
I shall. Speed running. There we go. All right. Okay, there's the first one. All right, we're going to the second. And the third one. All right, Randy. Anyone else?
I am checking the chat box very quickly here. I think we're
Okay.
getting close to wrapping up. So Dina
Yes.
says, is September always the month that the personal year and month numbers match up?
Yes, absolutely. So no matter what personal year you are experiencing, you are going to, again, September, I'll use that as the example. Everyone is going to be in the same personal month that they are experiencing of their personal year in September, no matter what year you're in. And I also, again, find it interesting. Let's also really quickly, so just a little preview for next year, if you follow my forecasts or whatever. So you won't go like after December. So let's say you're in your 3 personal year. We'll use the slide as an example. So December is a 6th personal month for you, right? So you're in your 6th personal month, you're in your 3 personal year, you're going to your 4 personal year, and you're thinking, dang, I'm gonna be into my 7 personal month in January because I'm in my 6th personal month now, right? But wait a minute. If you're in a 4 personal year, you reset. Okay, this happens for all of us for every personal year. So you're going to, rather than sliding right on over into a 7, which you would if you were still in, in the same year, the beginning of the year resets you into an entirely different personal year. So if you're in a 3 personal year this year, you have a 6 personal month in December, and yet you move in January, you're going to now be in a 5. So you get November is a 5 in 2021. If you're in a 3 personal year, it's a 6 personal month in December. Then you get to replay a 5 and a 6 when you start next year, and then move forward that way, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, right? So you're gonna, so if you have these slides or took notes, you can think about that. Each one of us does that in our personal year. So you're going to replay your November and December personal month number at the begin as you start the next year. I know that gets a little bit confusing in our minds. And yet I just wanted to bring that up because sometimes that is a point of confusion. We think we're just moving right in with the personal month, but we reset at the beginning of each personal year. I hope that makes sense to everyone.
That was perfect. I get totally confused when you start talking about that stuff. So I'm like, okay, it was great.
All right, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is our last question, everyone, and then we have to sign off. Thank you so much for sticking around here. Thank you for sticking around as we go over our time and as we navigated the technical issues. And so Cindy says, I'm in a 7-year, bought second home to be by daughter with new baby, had to put our dog to sleep 4 days after baby was born in April. Oh, we hate that. Husband commuting every 2 weeks to NYC. It's been like a 6, 7, and 9 year, right? Do you have any comments about that? I know you and I have talked about this where it just seems like, okay, everything, just everything.
Yes, I find honestly, Cindy, that the 7 personal year often, what I say, rivals the 9 personal year in deep levels of soul exploration again, and some of those pain points that we have. And the pain points show up to come up to, again, the 7 is about shadow work. It's about exploring more deeply where we are, where we want to be, revealing levels about ourselves. So yes, that is not unusual. And to experience some losses, to experience some deeper elements of points of pain that we get to look at and to work with on a more that is really going to be catalytic for spiritual and personal growth in a very, very real and profound way. So I often find that these will be points of where you will hop on the power train and empowerment train next year in your 8. Like, where do you feel maybe a little bit of a weak link in your sense of empowerment? And that's what is going to come up to be worked with next year. I hope that makes sense.
That totally does. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for being here. Remember, if you want to book a session with Felicia, you can do that this weekend before Sunday night, midnight Eastern time. That's US Eastern time. We will gift you a bonus course up to $47. That's the Numerology of Relationships, Numerology of Planning, the Career and Finance Masterclass course, which is our most popular course, the Repeating Numbers Masterclass, or the Karmic Debt Numbers Masterclass. You have your choice of any of those $47 courses when you book a 60-minute or 90-minute session with Felicia this weekend before Sunday, midnight Eastern. Just go to FeliciaBender.com/sessions to book your session. And when we get back into the office on Monday, we will see your booking and we will reach out to you via email with all the details for retrieving your bonus. And if you want to join us in the Advanced Numerology Retreat that happens next Saturday, the 18th, that is $97. We've got a few spots left. This is for advanced students, practitioners, teachers, people who have experience with numerology. They understand their personal numerology, and you want to go deeper with Felicia. It's a 3-hour retreat. This will be the last one for the year. We're 99% sure of that. So this will be the last one for 2021. If you want to work with your personal numerology and numerology in general on a deeper level in a group retreat with Felicia, go to FeliciaBender.com/retreat to book your spot in the Advanced Numerology Retreat. And we will follow up with an email for everyone who registered for the webinar with details about everything that we shared here. So that's a lot of talking. Felicia, do you have anything else to add before we?
I don't. I just want to thank everyone for being here. I love sharing this information with you, and I hope that it was useful. I mean, that's my number one. I love this because I find it so useful. I hope that it puts some things in perspective and in alignment for you. I'm wishing you an amazing rest of your year. I'm sure that we'll be in touch together, all of us, and one way or the other, but enjoy and thank you for being here, and bye for now.